Hello and welcome to TB3.
Episode 62, or what we like to call Election Night with TB3. On tonight, just kidding, man. We're talking sports, man. We're talking sports.
Of course, that's what we do here.
This was a huge Tuesday because we get to find out what the first college football playoff ranking is, and that's the only thing that I'm worried about on this Tuesday, November 5th, 2024. In all seriousness, thank you guys for tuning in to TB3 episode 62. We got a full slate of Tampa Bay sports for you. This is our main pro sports episode. I know I said something about college sports, but that will be coming out later on this week. This is episode 62. We will be talking Bucs, Bolts. Maybe we'll kind of laugh at the Yankees a little bit at the end, just because that happened last week. But yeah, if you guys are curious, Will is not here. He's actually, trying to win a presidential election right now. I'm kidding. He couldn't make it. Just it is what it is. Sometimes you can't make TV3. Maybe it is what it is. But we're here. Me and Joel are here. We're gonna talk some Bucs and Bolts with you. And yeah, I mean, any comments on the overall attitude of us Tampa Bay fans right now?
Well, I mean, Lightning are on a what are them Lightning on? 2-game losing streak, 3-game losing streak?
Potentially 3. We're not done yet.
Let's see. It's so close to being 3.
It's pretty close.
Nah, we're gonna win. So
okay.
Yeah, just 2-game for now. But overall, there's a sense of losing in the air right now. Feeling of losing in the air.
Yeah, it's frustrating.
Ooh, 28 seconds left. Come on, Lightning.
Wow.
Hopefully you all can celebrate when you hear this tomorrow or the next day or whatever.
Yeah, if the Lightning lose, they'll be on the same amount of a losing streak as the Bucs are on. Because the Bucs are 4-5. And last night was Monday Night Football in Arrowhead Stadium, facing off against the undefeated Super Bowl defending champs Kansas City Chiefs. You got Patrick Mahomes. You got Travis Kelce. You got Jason Kelce on the pregame show. You got Taylor Swift. All eyes were on this game. It is always how it goes. If you love them or you hate them, you're usually tuning in to watch the Chiefs. And they had the Bucs this weekend. The Bucs had all eyes on them, and typically that's not a good thing for the Bucs. Prime time has not been the Bucs' friend, other than some Tom Brady games. But even those Tom Brady games were sketchy. But it's Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield's already had 2 chances on prime time. He seems to grow as the moment gets bigger for him, and he kind of felt like he was going to come and at least give the the fans at Arrowhead a show, and a show they got. And maybe this show had a heartbreaking end, but you got to think about the good moments in the show, even if you don't like the ending. So Monday Night Football, Arrowhead Stadium, dun 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 dun. And this game started off with the Bucs actually not receiving the ball first. It seems like they've been doing that for a long time. I feel like 4 or 5 games in a row they've had the ball to start the game, but the Chiefs had it, and the Bucs would actually force a punt. 10 plays, 29 yards, but the Kansas City Chiefs would have to punt after a sack by Vita Vea on 3rd and 9. Knocking them out of field goal range. Bucs get a huge stop. However, they could not do anything. They would punt it right back to Kansas City, and then the Chiefs would go on an 8-play, 33-yard marching thing. But Bucs got off the field and only allowed a field goal. Chiefs are up 3-0, and then the Bucs offense got going. 11 plays, 70 yards, almost 7 minutes of clock taken up, and then that man, you love him. Rachaad White would go around the left side for a 7-yard touchdown run. Some beautiful plays by the rushing game and the passing game on this drive. Capped off by Rachaad White, 7-3 Buccaneers. However,
you're feeling so good at this point in the game.
Dude, Rachaad White has been doing this thing where he just has been walking into the end zone the last couple weeks. It's like almost like scary. Like he was running and he was not running fast. I'm like, Rachaad, what are we doing? But he's nonchalant, bro.
Act like you've been there.
Act like you've been there. And then, unfortunately, the Chiefs have been there, and they would march right back down the field, taking up about 6 minutes of clock and getting their own long touchdown drive. This one was scored by DeAndre Hopkins, his first touchdown as a Kansas City Chief. And to just troll his former team, the Tennessee Titans, he did the Remember the Titans touchdown celebration dance, just to rub it in Tennessee Titans fans' face all around the Tennessee area. But it is what it is, man. The Titans stink. They had A.J. Brown, DeAndre Hopkins, and Derrick Henry, and they didn't even, get to the Super Bowl. It's crazy. But the second half would end with not a lot of actions. The Bucs would go 3-and-out after that Kansas City touchdown drive, but they would be able to hold the score there as Travis Kelce would fumble, ball on the ground, picked up. Tyke Smith forces it. Josh Hayes recovers it, and the Bucs are looking to get a field goal before half, but the drive would stall out because of some penalties, unfortunately, and that's all she wrote. 10-7 halftime, but the Bucs would get the ball to start the second half, and what do you know? They would march down and score 6 plays, 51 yards, 3.5 minutes off the clock, and Cade Otton, with his 4th touchdown in the last few weeks, would put the Bucs up 14-10. Just a huge play by Cade Otton, and it was looking good at this point. And then after that, the Bucs would force a 3-and-out. Offense and defense, complementary football. What are we watching? And then the Bucs would go down 8 plays, 30 yards, about 5 minutes off the clock, and they would kick a field goal to put them up a full touchdown. However, the Chiefs just don't go away. They love these close games, especially at home, especially when they can leave it into the refs' hands. They would go down 12 plays, 70 yards, 6.5 minutes off the clock. 17-17 is your score going into the fourth quarter. And in the fourth quarter, the Chiefs would actually go up and take a lead after a 3-and-out by the Bucs. The Chiefs would get the ball back and march down the field again about 8.5 minutes off the clock. They would go up 24-17. But the Bucs would get a huge stop, 3-and-out, with about 2.5 minutes left, give the ball back to Baker Mayfield, and let Baker cook. The Bucs would go 10 plays, 71 yards, 1:49 off the clock. Was kind of hoping they would take just a few seconds more off the clock, but, that's Todd Bowles. We'll get to that later. But Baker Mayfield would find the gritty gym rat guy I'd let date my daughter, wide receiver Ryan Miller. He would find him in the end zone, 1-yard touchdown, and the Bucs would go for the extra point to tie the game 24-24. And after a heartbreaking last drive for the Chiefs, which saw the Bucs have two opportunities for huge interceptions that could have won them the game there, be dropped or fall to the ground. Some tough plays, but Antoine Winfield, I've seen him make those plays before, unfortunately. This game would go to overtime, and as we all know, in the NFL, overtime is not like college. Both teams do not get the ball guaranteed, and unfortunately, tails did fails in this scenario. The Bucs would call tails, and it would land on heads. Is there a weighted coin in Kansas City? Maybe. Maybe not. But in all seriousness, the Chiefs would get the ball, and they would drive 10 plays, 70 yards, 6 minutes off the clock, and score a game-winning touchdown from Kareem Hunt and win this one 30-24 for another heartbreaking Bucs overtime loss.
You're in a situation, you're in a setting, you're in a scenario where you're expected to lose, and it happens, and you expect it, and you're still heartbroken. Like that's the experience I've had throughout this post-mortem of this game.
Yeah, it's dude. I've had a lot of overtime woes in the last couple weeks because I've had to watch Bucs versus Falcons Thursday Night Football, Florida versus Tennessee, the Gators, a couple weeks later, and now I have to see this. And watching in those 3 games, the team I'm rooting for scored 0 points in overtime. In the 2 overtime games for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers this game, the Bucs offense had the ball for 0 seconds. They did not touch the ball in overtime in 2 overtime games this season.
So they were 0 for 2 on the coin tosses then, right?
Yep.
Man,
yeah.
That's unlucky.
It's sad. It is really, really sad. I think before we get into the nitty-gritty, I think we should talk about, the end situation of the game. The Bucs, they would go down the field. They would actually get a pass from Trey Palmer to put them on the 1-yard line, and Todd Bowles would call a timeout with 33 seconds left. I think that was their last timeout. I think a lot of us maybe would have liked to see them manage the clock a little bit different there. And then after the Bucs would go in for the touchdown, they would decide to kick the extra point to tie the game and play for overtime. And yeah, so that would end up, they wouldn't win the coin toss, they would lose. So I guess before we get into offense and defense, Joel, how do we feel about these in-game, scenarios and management by Todd Bowles and the rest of his staff?
So for the timeout, you wish that they'd have run a little bit more of the clock off, then took the timeout. Like that's the best case scenario. That's what I think we as fans were all hoping for. And then going just for the extra point, it makes sense. You understand it. But that's only like just looking at the game. If you look at the season as a whole, you see what happens in Atlanta. You see the Bucs not be able to stop a team on offense after winning the coin toss. And with that in mind, I think you got to go for 2. Like, nobody's going to be mad at you today. I know there might be some disputes on Twitter and whatnot, but you put it all on the table. You say, we're going to win on this play or we're going to lose on this play. And I think everybody could tip your cap either way that it happens.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think I got Will's thought on the phone, and I think he disagrees with us a little bit, but I'm right there with you, Joel. I think when you don't go for 2 points in that play, let's go back to the timeout, right? So the timeout, Trey Palmer gets down to the 1 yard line. It is 1st and goal after that play. You have 4 shots to get 1 yard and score a touchdown. In my opinion, I think that Todd Bowles, he called that timeout 33 seconds on the clock. I think he should have let that clock run to at least 25. At this point, the Bucs were in control of the game. The Bucs dictated how that game was going to go. They dictated if the Chiefs, were going to see the ball with the lead. They dictated if the Chiefs are going to see the ball at all. They had control of the game, and to me, I think Todd Bowles got a little antsy with his time management, got a little, got cold feet in there. And I think that starting with the timeout, I think that was mismanaged. What did the Chiefs have the ball with? About 20 seconds? I mean, we saw them in Buffalo 2 years ago in the playoffs, get a field goal off less time. I think it was 13 seconds. So to me, even though the Bucs got off the field with those 20 seconds, I thought it was mismanaged to even allow the Chiefs to have that much time. And to me, I think the first mistake was allowing, Todd Bowles not allowing time to go off the clock. I think he should have at least let the clock run to about 25 seconds. Take 8 to 10 more seconds off the clock. I don't think that would affect your play calling. You only have 1 yard. These are going to be quick hitting plays. These are not going to be plays that are going to take a while. If you throw the ball twice, it doesn't work. You're going to go down to 1 or 2 plays. Then you have the option to run because you don't have to worry about the clock. I think that calling that timeout so quickly was kind of an inexperienced move by an experienced coach, and I wasn't a fan of that. And then moving forward to the 2-point conversion, I'm right there with you. I think that going for the 2-point conversion, again, the Bucs determined their outcome. They would have had one play to determine if they were winning or losing the game. They didn't have to, leave it up to chance for getting the field goal or getting the coin toss. And I understand that you could tell me that, the Bucs defense, they had, a whole drive to stop the Chiefs from getting in the end zone. This is Patrick Mahomes. This is Andy Reid. This is one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time and one of the greatest play callers of all time. These guys we've seen numerous times, playoffs, huge moments, regular season. We've seen these guys get the ball and not give it back to the other team. To me, I think you have to, take your chance with Baker Mayfield, with Liam Cohen, with your running backs, with whatever you wanted to do, because the Bucs moved the ball pretty well. And to me, I think you had a situation where you had full control of the game, full, ability to dictate what happened in that game, and you kind of got cold feet, and you kind of let, chance and the Chiefs gain control and dictate, the final 20 seconds and final 6 minutes of overtime.
Todd Bowles, being a defensive-minded coach, is looking at this. He's weighing out all the odds. You hear him say that he didn't even think about going for 2 there in that moment. Like, he had defensive mind. That's his game plan. But the Chiefs, throughout the whole duration of this game, including overtime, had the ball for 40 minutes and 42 seconds. The defense is wiped. They're gassed. They can't do it again. They've just been on the field for that, most of that fourth quarter, and now you're expecting them to go potentially have to get a 3 and out so that so the Chiefs don't get a field goal at the very least. Like, it just wasn't going to happen. Like, you know that the defense is out there just moaning the second that they realize they're going to have to play overtime. And they know that it's probably going to go Kansas City's way because that's just how football goes, whether we like it or not.
Yeah.
So I think they probably went out there in overtime demoralized, knowing, okay, we're just sitting ducks. Let's just see how we die. Let's just see how it all ends.
Yeah, and I think this defense had some confidence. They were able to stop the Chiefs, but like you mentioned, 40 minutes of game time is a lot of time to be on the field. I mean, the Chiefs had multiple very long drives, 6-minute-plus drives. Chiefs were 12 for 18 on third down. Everything that the Chiefs did offensively was methodical, and it was demoralizing. Demoralizing is a good word to describe what the Chiefs just did to the Bucs. It was a demoralizing defeat, and I think that I do think you just have to go for it. And I know that might rub people the wrong way, I think Will, if he was here, he would tell us, and he told us that he thought that kicking the extra point was the right decision. The analytics that coaches use, a lot of coaches use, not just Todd Bowles, they said to kick the extra point. So mathematically, extra point was the move. Me, I've seen it twice in the last 2 weeks. I saw it with Billy Napier against Tennessee. I saw it with Todd Bowles against the Chiefs. I think going for two, dictating what happens in the game, is the right decision. And I mean, me and Joel watched the game together. We were calling to go for two before it happened. We were calling to go for two when we got the ball with 2 minutes left. Yeah. So I like to look at decisions from what I would have done in that moment. And I can tell you confidently that before and after, I wanted them to go for two. And to go back to your point about Todd Bowles being a defensive-minded coach, I think that's kind of causing some friction and causing some problems because he is a defensive-minded coach with an offensive strengthened team. This is an offensive team. The offense has outweighed the defense this whole entire year. Todd Bowles has to be able to adjust to it. You have a moxie-filled quarterback, a quarterback that rises to the occasion, a fantastic play caller, running backs and tight ends right now that are playing at an elite high level. You got to lean on those guys. You can't lean on your defense right now. This is not the team to lean on your defense. So, again, you could tell me hindsight's 20/20, and I can tell you I would have gone for two 10 times out of 10 if I was in Todd Bowles' position.
And you saw it from so many different people on Twitter saying, like, Todd Bowles isn't going to go for it. This is the perfect moment to go for two, but the Bucs aren't going to do it. The Bucs ain't going to do it. Like, I saw it from a lot of different sources, and look at that. It came true. Yeah,
and Todd Bowles in his press conference said that he considered going for two for a little bit, but he decided that with the wet field conditions, he felt like the Bucs defense would be better equipped to getting a stop than their Bucs offense, getting that 2-point conversion. That doesn't exactly make sense to me when you just saw your offense march down the field, in a 2-minute situation. But that's what Todd Bowles said. I can't really.
I mean, he's the coach, but that doesn't make any sense.
He's the coach, and with decisions like this, he might not be the coach for much longer. So, Joel, as we get into the nitty-gritty of this game, do you want to start off with the defense or the offense?
I just got to say one more thing. With Andy Reid's press conference, he was like, man, I was so glad they didn't go for two.
Did he say that?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
He was so glad. Like, yeah, I know he's a humorous guy and stuff, but, like,
yeah.
I mean, the second that we don't go for two, he's like, oh, okay, like, great. Like, my offense is probably going to get the ball in some capacity here in this game. Well, and we're going to take it home.
I agree, and it's that feeling of the Chiefs were helpless.
Their backs were against the wall.
Yeah, they were helpless. They were not dictating the game at that point. The Bucs had all the control in Arrowhead Stadium. Taylor Swift's in the building. The NFL wants the Chiefs to go undefeated and have this magical run, and the Bucs could have put an end to that.
What Brady couldn't do,
exactly.
Mahomes can.
And again, that's a great storyline for them. And they had all the capability to do that. They had all the control. They had the Chiefs in the palm of their hand, and they decided to let the Chiefs dictate the game instead of letting the Bucs dictate the game. That's what hurts me the most. I don't think the Bucs lost this game, but the Bucs allowed the Chiefs to win this game, as opposed to the Bucs winning or losing this game. And that's what makes me angry about these late game decisions.
Yeah, analytics don't know the setting of the game. They don't know what's going on. Like, yeah, that might make sense, but I feel way more confident about Bucs going for two than winning a coin toss in that moment.
I agree. I really do agree, and I think
with that, I'll put my soapbox to rest. But those are the things I needed to say.
I'm right there with you, Joel. I think it's important to note because this is the type of things that when we're going at the end of the season, if we're trying to decide if Jason Light, the Glazers, they're trying to decide, is Todd Bowles the guy to lead this team? Because you have a good young core. You have players, locked up. You got to find your coach. And Todd Bowles might be this coach. We've had the ups and downs of him. I by no means think Todd Bowles is, completely to blame or Todd Bowles is a terrible head coach. But I am not fully sold on Todd Bowles being, the coach of the future. And the Bucs have to find that coach of the future because they have most of their players for the future. They have to lock down that coach. So they got to figure out this year, is Todd Bowles that guy? Because it's still up in the air in my opinion.
I think the Bucs could win 7 of their next 8 games and probably make the playoffs.
Yeah.
And again, it puts you in that situation of what do you do? What are we going to do?
Yeah.
I don't know.
We will just really have to see. And it is important to note that the Bucs have played one of the hardest schedules in football. The worst team they played was the Saints, and that was a rivalry game on the road. You look at all these teams. Commanders having a great season. Detroit, Bucs are the only team to beat the Lions this year. Denver has a winning record right now. They have looked sneakily good all year. Philadelphia, the Eagles had some troubles early on. The Bucs beat them pretty handily. The Eagles are getting back on track. They just last week beat the Bengals on the road by 20 points, handled Jaguars this week. Really, really solid football team. And then you go forward, Ravens, one of the best in the league. Chiefs, one of the best in the league. Falcons twice. That's the best team in your division. They're 6-3 right now. These are all.
And even with the Saints, they were playing better at
exactly.
that time.
Exactly.
They were
man.
only 2-3, and their losses were to the Chiefs and Eagles.
Exactly. The Bucs have played some hard opponents, and they by far have the easiest remaining schedule in the NFL. The winning percentage on average of the teams that they're playing is in the 300s remaining. They have the Panthers twice. They have the Raiders. They have the Giants. This is a very doable schedule. I'm right there with Joel. I think we'll get into the game. I think we should start with Todd Bowles' defense.
Let's talk about the moral victories.
We'll talk about the moral victories or what went wrong. Todd Bowles' defense. Let's start with the defense.
Yeah.
So, we've talked negative. I think we should talk positive, and there was definitely some standouts on this defense. I got to go with my main man, a guy that Joel loves, I love, the heart and soul of our defense, the big man in the middle, Vita Vea. I mean, just a breakout game from him. Vita Vea had 10 tackles, 2 sacks, 2 tackles for loss, 3 quarterback hits. This guy was fantastic in the middle, and it's a huge reason why the Chiefs, they were held to 3.5 yards per rush in the game. That's Vita Vea right in the middle. They were trying to establish Kareem Hunt. It was rainy. They did not want to throw the ball a lot. Patrick Mahomes was banged up. They did not want to throw the ball a lot. The Bucs did a great job in the rushing game, and Vita Vea was the highlight of it. Yeah, and then another one, just a Bucs legend, a guy that, this dude, Levante David is so freaking old. He's 34, unless I'm mistaken, but I'm pretty sure he's 34. This dude's amazing. This dude is so good. 8 tackles, just fantastic stuff, flying around the field, covering Travis Kelce, getting outside on the screen game, disrupting plays. Levante David, I thought he was fantastic. Was there any other people that really stood out to you in this game?
On the defensive side?
Yeah.
Not off the top of my head, but overall, there were points and times and drives in this game where I was like, okay, we had a good scheme on that drive.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that drive worked out pretty well.
Yeah, I think Tyke Smith, the rookie, came back from his concussion, 9 tackles, 1 pass breakup. Really, really good stuff. Antoine Winfield and Jordan Whitehead both had really big tackle totals, but to me, I don't think they had very good games. I think Antoine Winfield, if we're going to talk bad, Antoine Winfield, man, this is 3 games in a row where I've been very disappointed with Antoine Winfield. I think it's good to note that maybe he's playing injured. He was banged up earlier in the season, had some. He was in a walking boot and he came back, so I get that he missed some games. He might be playing banged up, but Antoine Winfield, his last 3 games, last week we mentioned, his last 2 games he was in the 40s for his PFF grade. That's pretty unacceptable. And Antoine Winfield, there were some plays that he had that he could make that he did not make. I look in the second quarter, the Chiefs have a long 3rd down. Patrick Mahomes is under pressure. He throws one up. It's a pretty good throw, but has some air under it. Antoine Winfield, instead of playing the ball, plays the man. He lets the pass be complete, and it puts the Chiefs right on the doorstep. And that was a really frustrating play. And I look at the last drive of the game for the Chiefs. Antoine Winfield has his hand on 2 interceptions. Would they have been really tough catches? Yes. But I've seen Antoine Winfield make plays like that before. So pretty disappointed in him. Still disappointed in KJ Britt. Me and Will mentioned this last week. We thought that there, in no reason, should KJ Britt be guarding Travis Kelce ever. And there was a few times where he was, and it was pretty frustrating. Other than that, I think we can take a look at some of the stronger PFF grades. for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I have it. Zion McCollum, another really strong game from him, a 78.8 PFF grade. He had 7 tackles and a tackle for loss. Really, really good stuff from Zion McCollum, playing really good defense out there. J.J. Russell, a 74.2. This is the Bucs backup linebacker. He was taking some of those snaps from KJ Britt. They also tried V.I. Jones in there. So some new inside linebackers in there trying to, fix the KJ Britt problem, because, we're going to have to fix these problems with players on our roster, because Jason Light did not do anything at the trade deadline.
Oh yeah, trade deadline's over. Right?
Yeah, that was today.
An hour ago.
That was today, and the Bucs did not make a trade. So Joel, to me, I think we don't have to get too in deep. The Lightning did lose, by the way. We don't have to get too deep. It
was 10 seconds last I updated it. I was like, maybe miracles happen every day.
Miracle on ice. Any thing defensively that really stuck out to you, or anything you want worth noting in your mind here?
It did seem like we just did not, like, the man-to-man I don't feel like worked very well in this game. Like, as you said, like, he should have been playing for the ball in a couple of those plays. Like, I noticed that a couple of times. Like, in the group setting we were watching it, and it was like you could see that, you heard it in the room. It was like, oh yeah, like had we just been playing a little bit of zone there, little something different, we could have probably jumped out in front of a couple of those balls.
Yeah, and I think that the coverage in the middle of the field really stinks, and it's just been a problem for the Bucs over and over this year. Linebackers, safeties are not doing their job. There was some man-to-man. There was a lot of cases where I do think the zone actually hurt the Bucs as well. We mentioned it earlier, but I'll mention it again because it is such a crucial part of this game. The Chiefs were 12 of 18 on third down. That is 66.66666666%. 2/3. They converted 2/3 of their third downs, and not just a small amount of third downs. 18 third downs, and they converted a double-digit amount of times. That's got to go on the whole defense, and the whole defense has got to make plays. To me, I think there was a lot of scheme problems on third down. I think I mentioned it before, but the amount of zone coverage played just left way too many holes in the middle of the field. I think that when you kind of let Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes kind of run free with a zone, and Travis Kelce, when it's a zone defense, doesn't even run routes. He just runs to the open space. That has been well documented, and the Chiefs, killed the Bucs on it. Travis Kelce had 14 catches for 100 yards this game. That is probably one of his best games of the season. I can look it up. So, yeah, most catches by far in a game by Travis Kelce. Hold up. This is Travis Kelce's first 100-yard receiving game of the year. Comes against your Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Gotta love that stuff. Yeah, really, really, really frustrating. And I think Patrick Mahomes, overall, I think the quarterback pressure was pretty solid. The Bucs were able to get 4 sacks, 8 tackles for loss, and 7 quarterback hits. Got to shout out Kalijah Kancey as well as Vita Vea. Those guys were monsters in the middle. Was calling for a Kalijah Kancey big game, and he had 2 sacks and 2 tackles for loss. Really, really good stuff from him. I think that you look at these interior defensive linemen, and they have more sacks than your outside linebackers, the people that are supposed to be getting sacks. So really disappointed still in JTS. Chris Braswell had a couple plays, but still here or there. And then even Yaya Diaby, really kind of disappointed in those guys. No sacks from them. It was all interior pressure. And, Todd Bowles can blitz. I think some of the blitzes worked, but some of them were picked up. I think, I look at some of those third down plays. Some of the blitzes just did not hit, not get home.
It was one of those grass is green on the other side kind of things, because you see the Chiefs blitzes and you're like, man,
that's true.
I want those blitzes. Give me those blitzes, guys.
That is absolutely true, man. The Chiefs just play man coverage and it works, man. They just play tight man coverage and they trust their corners and their safeties, and they trust their linemen to get home. I mean, George Karlaftis, Chris Jones is a great pass rushing defensive lineman, and they get home. So yeah. Third down was the story of this game for the Bucs defense. Obviously, you can look at that last drive, overtime. How many third downs they converted in overtime? They converted 0 third downs.
They didn't even get to third down.
They didn't even get the third down on that last drive. That makes it even more demoralizing.
Why'd you got to bring that stat
seriously,
up?
Crazy. But third down was the story.
Deflating.
It was death by a million paper cuts in this game.
Like, to get him to 18 third downs, that's pretty impressive. but to only be able to stop them on 6 of them,
Yeah.
like, wow, that hurts.
It really does.
It's like you look at it the other way. It's like we were only able to stop 6 third downs out of 18. It's like, ooh. Oh,
that's an unacceptable one, and I think that goes a lot on coaching. This Bucs defense, it's well noted that they have a lot of holes. They did not plug them. They kind of have to figure it out, and the scheme and the coaching has to be better. And I think we hold Todd Bowles to a really high standard because we've seen what he's done as a defensive play caller, and we're going to need it. We're going to need some exotic blitzes, some really good scheme. And we're going to need players on our team to play better. And whether that's a J.J. Russell and V.I. Jones coming in and, playing better for K.J. Britt, whether that's Jamel Dean coming back after the bye week and playing better at corner, even though I think Josh Hayes and Funderburk were pretty solid. But still, depth is the problem in this Bucs defense. Will mentioned that in the prior weeks, and he's mentioned it on the phone. And depth's been a problem. Depth has come back to bite them. I think that's something that going forward into the offseason they're going to have to work on. But we have a whole season left ahead of us. And we can talk offense real quick because I think Bucs offense was pretty good. I don't know anything that stuck out specifically to you, Joel, in the Bucs offensively.
The tight end.
Yes, Cade Otton.
Cade Otton, let's just give him all the flowers.
Yes, he has been spectacular. 8 catches for 77 yards and a touchdown. Cade Otton in his last, really, really good stuff. Last 3 games, he has had 8 catches or more, 8, 9, and 8. 100 yards against the Ravens, 81 against the Falcons, and 77 against the Chiefs. And he has 3 touchdowns in his last 3 games, 4 in his last 5. Ever since, Godwin and Evans to come down, he's been the guy. He has been the guy for this offense. Cade Otton has been spectacular. And, rushing-wise was pretty solid. The Bucs, a little disappointed in Liam Cohen again. I know the Chiefs' rush defense is pretty darn good. And, we know that they were holding teams to 3.5 yards per rush. And the Bucs would actually run for 5 yards per rush, but only output 95 yards because they would only carry the ball 19 times. This is kind of something we've seen with Liam Cohen is he tends to abandon the run game in the second half. So I'd like to see that, but moving forward from the rush game because it just was kind of there and it definitely opened up the offense. Moving forward to Baker Mayfield, what did you see from Baker in this game, Joel?
Little to no interceptions.
None.
0. I was gonna say off the top of my head, I don't remember any. So that's big. Let's keep that up. This is the first of hopefully the rest of the season.
Yeah, this was really, really good stuff for Baker Mayfield, I'll say. He definitely missed some. He didn't miss a lot of throws. This is a really good defense. There was one play where Baker Mayfield threw the ball that it could have been intercepted. It was early on in the game. But other than that, I think Baker Mayfield did a great job of taking what the defense gave him. This Bucs team scores 24 points. Huge drive from Baker Mayfield at the end. I mean, that's one of the best drives Baker Mayfield's had, as a Buc. To go down on the road against a really, really good defense. Can't stress that enough. This defense is really, really good. I know the Chiefs have Patrick Mahomes and Kelsey, but the defense is a strong point of this team. It kind of reminds me of the 2020 Bucs, where it's like you got Tom Brady, you got all these weapons, but that defense is vaunted, and they did a really good job. Baker Mayfield, he had a 64.7 QBR, a 112.3 passer rating, really good stuff. Only 200 yards, but he was just taking the short passes. He was taking what the defense gave him, getting his guys out in space. I know Baker in his press conference, he was kind of lamenting that drive right before halftime after the fumble. He said he missed a couple throws, which I can agree on, and I think that those points would have helped. To tie that game up after at halftime 10-10 would have been really huge. So that's a drive offensively you can look at and say, you kind of wish that would have worked out for him. But, other than that, I think weapon-wise, I think everyone has done such a good job since Evans and Godwin went down. Sterling Shepard, 4 catches, 48 yards, some huge catches, getting his feet in bounds, toe dragging like a veteran. He's been so huge. He's been banged up too, and he's playing through it. Trey Palmer, the big catch to get him to the 1-yard line in the last drive, 33 yards. Rashad White, we're spread out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 people with catches. Cade Otton was the main target, but everyone was getting involved. The running backs got involved. Ryan Miller, huge touchdown catch for him. Coming in, a guy who didn't make the roster at the beginning of the season, getting a game-tying touchdown against the Chiefs in Arrowhead. That's a heck of a moment for Ryan Miller. So I got to shout out them. But offensively, I again another solid game where the offense I would say did enough to win. Yeah. I think there was a couple drives that you left a little bit to be desired, but Offense did enough to win.
Yeah, I felt like we maybe let the field goal, maybe 2 field goals on the board. But again, you score 24, 27 points, you should win the game. So, again, all of this points us back to, man, the defense had just kept a couple scores off the board. We'd be talking about a win today.
Yeah, and then Baker Mayfield's only sacked twice against a really good defensive line. I think the Bucs offensive line has been really good this year. One of the stronger points of their team. I think Ben Bredesen did have one of his weaker games going against Chris Jones, but a lot of offensive linemen have one of their weaker games going against Chris Jones. A couple penalties. Looking at penalties, six penalties for 50 yards, but only 3 penalties for 30 yards for the Chiefs.
Gee, I wonder how that happens.
Yeah, really bad missed false start in that final drive. Everyone saw it.
Wasn't there a block in the back, too?
There was on that punt return. It looked like a block in the back. It was pretty clear to me, but maybe not to the official. Maybe he had a bad angle on it or something. That is what it is. I think the Chiefs definitely possessed the ball and they did a good job on third down, and the Bucs did less of a good job on third down. Only 5 of 11, so that's about half. Still a really solid job, but just overall the Bucs. Let me see. They had a few. I think 2 or 3 and outs, which kind of hurts you. 1 3 and out, 2 3 and out, 3, 4. 4 3 and outs for the Bucs. One was a 4 and out, so maybe they got a first down on their first play. But 3, 4, 3 and outs for the Bucs. That's what kind of hurts you in these games. You got to be able to sustain drives, and like Joel mentioned, if you get a field goal on that drive, you win in regulation. So just a little things for the Bucs offense that could be worked on. It's the bigger problems more defensively. And before we get to this next game, I think we can maybe just talk about, we kind of mentioned it a little bit, but Bucs, going into the season as a whole, they are now 9 games through. NFL got rid of that beautiful 16-game season where you could say we're halfway through now. It's odd and ugly.
They better hurry up and get this thing to 18. I'm hating this off.
18's absolutely ideal, though. Get the Super Bowl on President's Day weekend. It's great. Bucs are 4-5 through 9 games. That is the same record they had last year through 9 games. They had one of the hardest schedules, like we mentioned, coming in. They have the easiest remaining schedule in the NFL going on the rest of the season. However, today was a trade deadline, and we mentioned it before, Jason Light did not make any moves. No players were traded for. Still a possibility where cut players that were released can be signed by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And that's still a possibility, but overall, no big moves, no linebackers acquired, no edge rushers, no corners, no wide receivers. Cooper Kupp still on the team. He is still on the Rams. But I don't know, Joel, how do you feel about the Bucs? Over halfway through the seasons?
This is a team that we can believe in, and the fact that we didn't add to it is really upsetting because we have most of our young guys on the team. Like, if we keep drafting guys, like, where are they going to go? Like we're kind of at a log jam at this point. So we could have given up some of that draft capital for a linebacker, for a receiver, for a lineman, like anything to boost this team. Like this. Okay, let's pull out the world's smallest violin. This is probably Levante David's last year, and to not give it your all for Levante David's sake just makes me really sad. So maybe we'll have a Cinderella story of sorts. We lose one of our wide receivers, but we still make the Super Bowl. But it's harder to just see it now with the trade deadline having come and gone.
Yeah, and I think some of this with the Bucs, trade deadline standing pat is, how much do they believe in this team? How much do they believe that one move can propel this team? And I think that with the Bucs having so many players going down, with the depth not quite working out in the Bucs' favor like they wanted to, having your 2 top weapons being out for an extended amount of time, no Jamel Dean, the development of Joe Tryon-Shoyinka and Yaya Diaby and Chris Braswell has kind of been stunted, did not really come out what we'd like them to see. I think Winfield and Whitehead have underperformed, and this was kind of a storm of maybe I'm wrong and Jason Light believes in the guys in the building and he thinks the guys in the building can win a Super Bowl, or maybe my theory is Jason Light didn't think that 1 or 2 trade deadline moves could propel this team to be Super Bowl contenders, so he'd rather keep the draft capital where we know he's done a really good job. So I think doing nothing in this situation isn't the end of the world to me, because this is just this team with the injuries and the underperforming players. I don't know if they were a piece or two away from being Super Bowl contenders. I still have a lot of faith in this team, especially to make the playoffs with the schedule they have. But it's just, I think, too many things have gone wrong for them in the last 3 games for them to make a big trade deadline move, in my opinion.
But a lot of those guys are coming back. Like, outside of Godwin, won't those guys be back?
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, no, and I agree. And it may be one of those things where the NFC is strong. The 7th seed, the last playoff team in the NFC right now, is 2 full games above the Buccaneers. So this is strong conference. It might be hard to get in for the Bucs, and that plays into it. I think not only the injured players, but the players that are just playing so under their level of what we know they can play. Look at Winfield. Look at Whitehead. Look at KJ Britt. I look at, Jalen McMillan. I know he's a rookie, but we expected much bigger things from him. I look at, even Rachaad White in a sense. Baker Mayfield's played really well, but the turnovers, have gone wrong. What do you believe like you have to switch? I don't know. But I do think that just the storm that has happened for the Bucs, the collapse that's happened for the Bucs in these last 3 games, kind of played into the fact that the Bucs didn't make a move.
It's fair.
So
and the Falcons' schedule is easier than I thought it was. Like that was going to be my next point, but I'm looking at it and there's 6 wins on that schedule.
So what's it looking like, Joel?
All right, so they have Saints, Broncos, Chargers, Vikings, Raiders, Giants, Commanders, which is hard. I'll give them that one.
And Vikings. Yeah, Vikings and Commanders is, games you hope are automatic losses. Those teams have been really good.
With that best case scenario and worst case scenario, we could maybe tie with the Falcons, and then with that, they have the tiebreaker.
So, and Chargers and Broncos are definitely losable games.
Yeah.
And I've seen the Falcons lose some weird games too. Like, I'm not saying they will. We can't bank on it. But I've seen the Falcons lose to the Panthers before. I've seen it happen before. And maybe we're the team that's going to lose to the Panthers. I don't know. But I've seen it happen before. And I look at the Bucs schedule. I'll say it out loud because it is definitely, worth noting. The Bucs this weekend, probably their toughest game remaining. 49ers at home, but the 49ers are 4-4. We'll get into it in a second. Then a bye week. After the bye week, best case scenario, you will have Mike Evans and Jamel Dean back. That is 2 things that have been stated that are the goals and hopes for those 2 players. Giants on the road, very winnable. Panthers on the road after that. Raiders at home. That's, if you don't go 3-0 in that stretch, the Bucs don't deserve to go to the playoffs. That is 3 free games. You should win all 3 of those games. You should win them handily. Then the schedule gets a little tougher. You go to Los Angeles to play the Chargers. Maybe that stadium won't even be, filled for that game. But, Buccaneers at Chargers. Chargers are 5-3. Got a tough defense, good running game, solid young quarterback. Jim Harbaugh, he's brought the winning culture. That could be a tough one on the road. Then you go what is right now a Sunday night football game. Buccaneers at Cowboys, but the Cowboys have been lousy this year, and Dak is banged up right now. That's far down the road, but that seems like a game the Bucs should win. And then you finish.
They can flex that back to an afternoon game.
Yeah, they probably will.
Oh, that hurts.
I don't see why they wouldn't flex that back. And then Panthers and Saints to finish the year, both at home. Very easy schedule, and like Joel mentioned, I could see them going 7-1. And if you wanted to win the division, you want to probably go 7-1 to finish, because 5-3 for the Falcons, which would probably still tie, huh?
Yep.
You need 4-4. Still possible. We'll see how it goes. So, with that being said, Joel, I'll ask the question: will the Bucs in 2024 make the playoffs?
Man, I went so positive on them last week, but I'm off the train. Let me just go quickly look and see what the standings are for the wild card. Oh, it's so far away. I can't find it.
Here, I'll get it. I can get it probably quick.
ESPN, you're failing me.
The Bucs right now are the 11th in the conference. The 7th, 6th, and 5th teams in the wild card all have 6 wins. The Vikings are 6-2. The Eagles are 6-2. The Packers are 6-3. Ahead of them also are the Bears at 4-4, Rams at 4-4, 49ers 4-4, and then the Bucs are 4-5. So they're 2 games behind the last wild card. It's the Packers and the Vikings are both in there. Both those teams will play one another at least one more time. right? Yes. The Packers and the Bears play twice. The Lions still play the Packers. The Packers play the Vikings still. So those NFC North teams will play one another. They will probably, one of them will knock one of the others out. I don't see three of them getting in at this point. The Rams and the 49ers and the Cardinals, that whole division's kind of in a jumble. The Cardinals are number one in their division. Who would have saw that coming? I do think the 49ers will rise to the top at some point, but all those teams are kind of going to beat them up. And, the Bucs do have the benefit of having two very, very bad teams in their division. The Panthers are not very good, and the Saints are not very good, and they just fired their head coach. So, I do think those teams will beat everyone up in front of them. But if I had to bet, this is like me saying 55-45. I don't think the Bucs will make the playoffs. I want to believe in them, and I wouldn't be shocked if they did. But I do think that the physicality, if the Bucs go in and win this weekend, I'll change my whole opinion. But right now, I don't know if they're going to go in and beat the 49ers. And if 4-6 going into the bye week is going to be a really tough one. I hope to be wrong. So I think we're both saying no.
I want to be contrary, but I'll say no for the sake of being respectable.
Will says yes. Will says they're still going to make the playoffs.
Right. So we got the contrary on the phone.
Looking ahead to this week, we mentioned them. Sunday at 1 p.m. at home in beautiful Raymond James Stadium on Del Mabry in downtown Tampa. It's not in downtown, you idiot. It would be sick. It's in a good spot. I've gone to appreciate where Raymond James Stadium is recently.
The next time I go, I am going to walk from International.
It was a good move. You
guys did it?
I did it for the USF game.
Okay.
Where did we park? Oh, our
friend got
yes, I did. It was great, dude. I was so close, and it was it was free. It was great. The 49ers are 4-4 right now. They sit there. They have had some injury problems and some just not as good play problems. One of their biggest injury problems is Christian McCaffrey, but this week he did return to practice. They have 3 weeks to activate him off the IL. Hopefully they will safely not activate him for this game and have him not play, but it is up in the air. We do not know, but you could definitely see Christian McCaffrey making his season debut against the Bucs, which is just nightmarish, knowing Christian McCaffrey's history with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Yeah, his pedigree, and especially against the Bucs. He runs all over him, especially with his time in Carolina and stuff. And the 49ers have had some struggles, man. They one of the better rosters in the league on paper, the defending NFC champions. And their defense has been pretty lackluster for what they have. They got guys over there, Nick Bosa, Fred Warner, that safety with the crazy last name that I can't say, but you guys know what I'm talking about. Really good players on team. They're missing, what's the dude's name? He popped his Achilles in the Super Bowl. Oh, man. Kinlaw. They're missing him, which has been a big blow for them. And yeah, but they're 16th in the NFL, allowing 22.8 points per game, which is just a pretty shocking thing for the 49ers. And I think that could play into the Bucs' hands. I think that passing defense has been a very, very been iffy for them. They're in the mid-teens in all this passing defense rank. And, Brock Purdy has the tendency to throw some interceptions. He gets interception happy. Happened against the Cardinals. They've lost some close games. But, Joel, any specific keys when you look at this Bucs versus 49ers game at home?
I'd say keep Brock Purdy uncomfortable. Just keep getting pressure on him. Like, he is kind of a win or lose kind of guy, like a big game or little game kind of guy. So
yes, so
he still gives me nightmares from facing him in the playoffs and stuff.
Yeah, 2022,
like in the Brady era.
Yeah, 2020. It was a regular season game, but it was bad, dude. Yeah, and then 10 touchdowns, 7 interceptions for Brock Purdy. So he is prone to throwing some interceptions. I think that's what you have to do. You kind of have to replicate the pressure that you were able to get on Patrick Mahomes, but you could be a little bit better. I mean, Vita Vea has more sacks than all your outside linebackers. You got to, at home, get someone going. JTS, Yaya Diaby, we got to see something from you guys. It's been non-existent the whole season. And, offensively, I think the key for me is for Liam Cohen to not abandon the run game. I think the run game, I would like to see the Bucs run the ball at least 25 times this one. I think they've run it, 15 to 20 the last 2 weeks, and it's hurt them, especially in the second half. They've, gone away from the run game, and it has not. They haven't had as effective second halves as they did first halves offensively. And it's happened a couple times this season. So I think the run game, you cannot abandon it. You have to stick with it. Even if it doesn't work early, you got to stay with it. Keep Baker Mayfield in these situations where all he has to do is take what the defense gives him. Because I think this is a close game. These are two teams that are desperate for a win. The turnover battle will probably determine this game. And I would like to see the Bucs win it. They were doing so good winning that turnover battle early on in the season, and they really haven't in the last few games. So they did win this one. They were 1-0, but that's marginal. And the Chiefs are the Chiefs basically have a turnover by the amount of penalties they get called in their favor.
Sure.
But yeah, the key is to don't abandon the run game for me and get pressure outside on Brock Purdy and get pressure with 4-man rushes. I think you also look, corners are going to be pressed. I think middle of the field, someone's going to have to step up alongside Levante David. They're going to run these option routes. They're going to do what they can to get Deebo Samuel guarded by KJ Britt, or maybe Christian McCaffrey guarded by KJ Britt, or George Kittle guarded by KJ Britt. The 49ers have a lot of weapons in the middle of the field. The Bucs have to find a way to limit it. They just have to find a way to do something to limit this middle of the field, attack, especially passing. And they got to do a better job on third down. So it's pretty simple. I don't think that this game is losable or like a automatic loss. I think that it's losable for sure. That's not what I meant to say. It's losable, but it's winnable. This is a home game. This is about as desperate as you have to be. The Bucs, you win this game, you go on your bye week. It's not the best case scenario going on your bye week, but you feel like you've survived a bad storm in your season. You're getting players back. You have an extra week to rest. This would be such a huge win. This would be a win. Again, if the Bucs win this game, I will change my answer from no making the playoffs to yes making the playoffs. That's how big of a swing game this is. It truly is. This is a huge game. I really, really want to believe in them. I really do. And you know what? I'm going to believe in them. I think that the San Francisco 49ers team is a little bit complacent. I think the Bucs are going to come out with their hair on fire. The home crowd's going to be good. Baker Mayfield's going to be really good. Some big plays. Defense is going to get 2 turnovers forced. Brock Purdy's going to throw 2 interceptions. That's what's going to happen. Antoine Winfield's going to get an interception this game, have a bounce-back start. The Bucs are going to win this one 31-23.
I value being right on these predictions way too much to pick the Bucs to win on this one. Chiefs, I felt good about that one.
You were close.
That was a Cinderella story. I felt it, and we just barely missed it.
You were close.
This game's got the deflating written all over it. So I'm gonna go 49ers 31, Bucs 27.
That would be a note. That would be deflating. Demoralizing. We're all about the D words today.
Yeah. I have this question. Like, if Byron Leftwich was always giving up on the run game late in the game, and now as well Liam Cohen is that Todd Bowles? Like, is that maybe some of him whispering in their ear?
No, I don't. So? This is a different, giving up on the run game. Byron Leftwich, he didn't do it because they couldn't run the ball. Their offensive line was so bad, and his run calls were so vanilla that it was kind of like it is what it is. I think Liam Cohen, to kind of give him credit, a lot of the times that he abandons the run game, it's because they're throwing short passes. So it's kind of like the extension of the run game. And I do see the value of that. But I do think that Liam Cohen, also these games where he's been abandoning the run game, the Bucs have been down. That fourth quarter, they were down 24-17 for at least half that quarter. So they had to throw the ball for at least a couple drives. And I just think that, Liam Cohen does such a good job scheming short passes and interesting plays, but I do think he could do a little bit better job just feeding the run game at least 5-10 more times per game. But it's not the same thing. I don't think it's a Todd Bowles thing. Right. It could be a little bit, though. Well, actually, that would go against because it's usually the defensive coach wants to run the ball, slow the game down, and play to his defense. So I would say not a Todd Bowles thing. It's a good question, though. Sunday, November 10th, 1 p.m., home game. Who do you got? Let us know in the comments. Do you guys think the Bucs will bounce back and win this one at home, or do you guys think this is going to be a 4-6 team headed into the bye week with a team that's searching for a lot of answers? Let us know in the comments. Give us your score prediction.
Did Will give a win or loss?
Will said he didn't give a score, but he did say he thinks the Bucs are going to win this game. And Will said that back in June when the schedule came out, he said the Bucs would be 5-5 heading into their bye week, and he says not to calm down, not to hop off the bandwagon. He still believes in this team, and I think we all should take from Will's positivity and say, let's go Bucs. Support him on Sunday if you can get out there. I mean, what are the tickets looking like? Just on my little clicker, just seeing a gauge. $93, under $100, maybe $100 with fees. Solid. You go get to see the 49ers. It does seem like 49ers fans travel, so we might have one of those issues where we have opposing teams, but who knows? So go out, support the Bucs, watch them, love them. It's a big game, so let us know what you think down in the comments. And we're going to move on to the Lightning, the team that it seems to be streaky as they come this season. Last time we talked, we were talking about the Steven Stamkos return game, and the Lightning had won 2 in a row. And after that game, they headed on a road trip. On Wednesday, the day before Halloween, October 30th, the Lightning would go into Colorado and beat the Colorado Avalanche 5-2. Me and Joel both predicted them to lose that game, and
I predicted them to win that game.
I thought you said, maybe. Sorry, my bad. My bad.
My record on those Instagram posts matters to me more than you think.
Dude, that's true. My bad. I predicted them to lose that game because I felt like the Avalanche owned us, but they didn't. But after that Colorado Avalanche game, the Lightning started to free fall. They are now on a 3-game losing streak, losing on the road to the Wild, really good team. Jets, really good team. And Blues, solid team. So
to correct myself, I think I did pick them to lose the Avalanche, but I predicted them to lose the next 2 games, so I was right on that part.
Yeah, so the Lightning now sit at 7-6-0. They are very streaky. And, I mean, I don't know. What are we looking at just with this slate of games? That Winnipeg game hurt me, man. That Winnipeg game hurt me. I was checking in through some NFL football, watching it. The Lightning go up 2-0 in that first period. 2-0. However, the Winnipeg Jets would score 3 unanswered to go up 3-2. But like Mitchell Chafee gets his 4th of the year, 3-3. But that third period, the Lightning allow 4 goals. 2 of them were empty netters, but still 2 goals in the third period, and that they kind of run out of steam. It's really frustrating. This game, I am pretty sure, 31 penalty minutes for the Tampa Bay Lightning. I know there was some
just
fighting.
In one game?
Yes, I know there was some fighting going on. Zamungus, fan favorite, got an instigating penalty for trying to fight someone after a big hit. And that's a frustrating one. That's a really good team. The Winnipeg Jets after that game were 11-1-0. So really good team. Could have had a really impressive win, but did not. Also really sucks that the Lightning lost to the Wild for the second time. And yeah, that was just
only bright spots. We got a power play goal that I can see in that game.
Yeah, and I think the Lightning have done a little bit better on the power play. I think we could go back to Colorado. I think they got a power play goal in that one. I'm wrong. So
did not get one in the game tonight with the Blues from what I was watching.
Yeah, so maybe not. Yeah, Lightning power play still struggling. Let me see. Jets. Did we get a power play? Brayden Point, power play goal against the Jets. Okay. So we got one Wild and Jets back to back. So the power play's humming. Jake Gensel has seemed to really warm up. He is, scoring some goals. He got his 500th career point against the Nashville Predators, and he's starting to warm up. He's at 5 goals and 8 assists, 13 points on the season. That line has continued to be really good, except for the fact that Brayden Point against the Winnipeg Jets got injured. He is day-to-day. And, Joel, how do you think if Brayden Point has to miss any time that the Lightning should be severely concerned?
I would have to say yes, yeah. I think we've put a lot of our eggs into that basket, and if he's out for at least a month, that's going to be tough.
Yeah. Another thing that was a little bit frustrating was Jonas Johansson, a guy that I think on the show we have a lot of faith in. He would allow 5 goals against Winnipeg. Some softies, I would have to say, and Yeah, 5 goals, only 27 saves on 32 shots, 844 save percentage. Which is not great from Jonas Johansson. Just, yeah, you want to see better from your backup goalie. I think Vazzy was solid this week. We didn't get to watch much of that Blues game because we've been setting up recording. We didn't get to see the finish of it, but it is what it is. But I think the Lightning right now are kind of falling to that early season, inconsistent play. I think the power play and the taking of penalties has kind of hurt them. Special teams has been a weak point of them. And the good news is, I think, do you agree that special teams is something that is easier to improve than what the Lightning's problems were last year, which was 5-on-5?
I'd like to think so. I'm not entirely sure.
I think so.
Yeah, because you kind of just like work on like little special
strategies
drills and stuff like that. Yeah. So yeah, I think so.
And the Lightning have all the capabilities to be penalty killing. I think it's more the fact that they were taking so many penalties. 31 in the Winnipeg game is unacceptable. But penalty kill wise, you have Hagel, you have Cirelli. Hagel had a pretty good week. These guys, they're gonna get it done. They're gonna get it done. So.
With Jonas Johansson, he's only started 2 games, so I'll let him off the hook.
Okay, all right. You're nice. You're nicer than me. I was ready.
He went into the Toronto game late replacement, and then he's played 2 games, Winnipeg being the second game. I mean, okay, if you want to argue, he's given up 5 goals in both those games. But
see, that's what we're saying, bro.
Third game's a charm.
It's just something that trade deadline we might see the Lightning go get a backup goalie.
That's the least of my concerns.
There's concerns, but I still think the Lightning are fun. Mitchell Chaffee's up to 4 goals. Connor Geekie got another goal. Lightning youth is fun, man. I mean, look at J.J. Moser playing well, man. Yeah, just solid. Ryan McDonough. He's around plus-minus 10 for Ryan McDonough. He's the highest on the team. Shout out the old dog that you can teach new tricks. Yeah, Nick Perbix got his first goal of the season tonight. Double defenseman goal against the Minnesota Wild. Wow. Nick Perbix, and Victor Hedman both scoring defenseman goals. So
Ginsel's still looking great.
Yeah,
so.
Exactly. Yeah, I completely agree. Cooch is hooping, bro. Cooch is playing so well. He wants that Hart Trophy. He wants it bad. So yeah, I think it's same old with the Lightning.
Just skim your way into the playoffs.
Yeah, it's at this point of the season, you just you live with what you see. It's just gonna kind of be a cycle. There's 80 so games. You just gotta live. You gotta live with the ups and downs of the season.
Currently 7-6. So
yeah,
very Tampa Bay Rays-esque.
Yeah, I'm really hoping it's not going to be like that though. Rays were agonizing. Weird little part of the Lightning schedule.
The bye week's coming up. I saw that.
Yeah,
so I'm like, next game on Bally or the betting channel.
Oh man, the FanDuel channel.
The FanDuel channel's next week. How's that? And I look at the schedule. I'm like, oh yeah. So they have a game Thursday, and then after that, they're off till next Thursday.
Yeah. So they play the Flyers this week at home. I think the Lightning bounce back. I think the Lightning beat the Flyers.
Yeah, if it's just one game,
I gotta go. That's the only game we get to predict.
Yeah,
man.
we're winning. I can't leave this show on a loss.
Yeah, they're gonna win that one. And
this is tough. One game to pick a goal scorer.
Give me Gensel. Give me Gensel.
I'm looking. I conveniently have the roster opened up. I'm gonna go Connor Geekie.
That's a good pick. So yeah, one game this week for the Lightning. We'll be back a bye week. Is that so? That's something Lightning or hockey teams do.
They've been doing it a couple of years now. Every team at some point in the season gets a week off. Maybe even 2 times in the season. It might
be 2.
I think it's 2 times.
That's really interesting. That's an interesting part of the schedule.
I'm happy for the players, but for the sake of my entertainment, like I'm sad when they have 3 days off, let alone a week.
Seriously, and I do think it has something to do with. I think they were able to have their opening night like a week before the NBA, which I think probably was really good for ratings. So I think starting so early has to have something to do with that as well.
It's a win for the players, but not for me.
It is what it is. But yeah, that's check out the Lightning. It's on Thursday. It's at home. Pop out to Amalie Arena if you guys are available. But yeah, that's pretty much all we got, man.
That's a game where there's gonna be so many Flyers fans. Like, get in the building and shut them up.
Yeah. The Flyers for me, man. For some reason, they just don't have the same type of aura and pull as the other Philly teams. Like I just don't feel like I can hate the Flyers.
Yeah, I'd say of those teams, I probably hate them the least.
Yeah,
but there's still hate.
Yeah, there is, but I don't know. I just feel like
it's not the team; it's the fans. I hate the fans.
Yeah, but I just don't think
they've
ever.
I know that Flyers fans were in a Phillies jersey in Clearwater 3 months before this.
That's a good point, but I don't know. I just feel like their fans. They've never been good enough for me to see a Flyers fan like a Philly person with a Flyers shirt on and like have a bad memory associated with them.
Fair.
I've seen bad Eagle fans, seen bad Phillies fans, but not Flyers. I don't know. But they're probably all stink.
76ers, you're fine with them?
Yeah, they're annoying, and they've been in the playoffs, so you kind of see them firsthand in action. But the Flyers have not been very good in my lifetime.
I think part of the reason why I also don't like the Flyers is because they got Vinny LeCavalier toward the end of his career.
Oh, man.
So that was kind of like, you guys, that guy's mine. You can't have him.
That's not cool, man.
Yeah, he was the team that he went to right after the Lightning, because after that he went to the Kings. So
man,
that's part of the reason why.
We might have a post cooking up with all those players. Might be having to make one of those. Yeah, that's episode 62. So, comment your thoughts down below on the Lightning, the early season. Comment down below if you think the Bucs will be able to bounce back and get a big win against the 49ers this Sunday. And, yeah, thank you guys for watching. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter /X. Subscribe on YouTube. Hit the 5 stars on Spotify. And have a beautiful and blessed night.